Welcome back, everyone. In this video, we are going to host our website live using Netlify. Through this great platform, Netlify, we can actually have our website hosted by the end of this video. And the reason why is because Netlify is a platform that focuses primarily on getting front-end modern applications up as easy as possible. They've really taken the world by storm in the last 2-3 years. And they're only continuing to grow. So this is a really stable, great service to use for hosting your applications, and we get great things like continuous integration right out the box. I'll talk more about that once we start signing in and taking a look at Netlify. So if you have not already got an account here, I want you to sign up and go through the process. And once you've successfully signed in, join me, because what you should see is a page like this one once this loads. So now that we're back, hopefully you've signed in and you are seeing this similar page as I am. There's a lot of different options here, but the primary thing we want to look at is the sites section. So down here in sites, what I want you to do is just click this import from Git. What this allows us to do is directly choose the GitHub account that we have that we want to host our application through. And the great thing about this is because whenever you make a push to GitHub, to the specific branch that you want to deploy, it will automatically rebuild on Netlify, meaning that your website is always up to date to a specific branch that you have that you want to be your live website. So if you haven't already, make sure that your GitHub is currently up to date with all of the code changes that we've made in the last few videos. Here, what we're going to do is we're going to choose Git as our Git provider, but we could have chosen other ones. What it will ask you to do is authorize GitHub. So mine, I'm already authorized, but just go through the steps. It's very simple. It's essentially allowing Netlify to access your repositories inside of GitHub. Once you've done that, what you want to do now is you want to go and find your specific repository where you have our project. Now mine is called Crown Clothing V2. So you can either search for it right here or you can find it. And I'm going to look for mine, Crown Clothing V2. This is the latest version. The branch that you want to deploy is the one of your choosing. So mine is going to be main, because that is the primary place with my up-to-date code. Now what we need to do is we need to look at these commands right here. Nothing I want you to change except for build command. The build command is the command inside of our package JSON that builds and serves the final packet of our website after it's been minified and uglified and all that stuff. Minification and uglification is the process where we convert our fancy readable code into a less readable but much more optimized code, and it's handled all by Webpack. Here, what you need to add is CI equals and then yarn build. And the reason why you need CI equals is because of the continuous integration aspect of our website. Now let me explain. So CI, continuous integration, is the process in which we're allowing this platform to deploy our website based on very quick code changes that we make to some repository in a Git environment. Git environment for us right now is GitHub. Now, typically with deployments, this is actually a manual and arduous process if you were to set up the infrastructure and coordinate some of the potential cloud solutions or maybe the infrastructure solutions required for a full deployment, because you need to allocate resourcing. You need to figure out where these build files are going to be living in order for you to serve them to a website whenever they request them. Because remember, what's happening with our website is it's getting built into the final version, but that final version has to live in a resource somewhere, a server somewhere, that then needs to be able to serve that to websites that are asking for it. And it has to be the latest version of the code, or at least the version of the code that we want to deploy. Typically, you can imagine how this process might be complicated and arduous. But this is what these platforms like Netlify do, is that they've essentially turned all of this infrastructure into the primary thing that they offer as a service. So behind the scenes, they're coordinating all these deployments. They're figuring out all of these build pipelines. They're figuring out all of the resourcing required in order for you to easily and quickly deploy your website while listening to some Git repository for those changes. Now, we rely on Create React App in order to build our project. What's happening inside of Netlify is that Netlify is essentially going to scaffold up Create React App and run Create React App's build command. So that means that you're essentially, instead of building on our local terminal, we're building inside of a Netlify environment. Netlify, of course, is, as I mentioned now, a CI environment. So what happens is that because it's still using Create React App to build up our project, it's relying on Create React App to look at the CI environment of Netlify and look for any potential issues. Now, what will happen is that some of these tools, because in a CI environment, might throw a couple warnings inside of our build step. The moment that happens in a CI environment, Create React App has decided to be a lot more strict, meaning that it'll treat warnings as errors, which is why if you don't have CI equals to overthrow that CI variable inside of Create React App, then what happens is that Create React App will fail inside of Netlify. But that's only because of an overly aggressive treatment towards warnings, which will get thrown from these internal libraries we're relying on inside of Netlify. So by saying, hey, ignore that, don't worry about it, just build, now it all works. As for the publish directory, this is just what directory we want to serve our build files from. And knowing that yarn build with Create React App builds into a build folder, that's exactly the folder we want. So now I just want you to hit deploy site. Now what should happen is you should land on this page. Here you'll notice that we have a random string that's generated for our website, and it'll say site deploy in progress. If you scroll down, you will see these 3 steps that Netlify is suggesting we go through in order to have a fully secure and up-to-date website. We don't need step 2 and step 3 right now. All we need is to leverage the existing URL that they're generating for us, which is going to be based off of this randomly generated string. And we just need to wait for our site to finish deploying. If you scroll down, you'll see that these are our production deploys. So generally speaking, this process takes about 2 to 3 minutes, but it really depends on how much code you have, because what's happening behind the scenes right now is that Netlify is running our Create React App build script in order to build out the final folder that is going to actually use to host our website. So let's just quickly wait until this finishes. And there you should see published. So now if we scroll back up, we'll see our website is located at this address. If you click this, it will open up our web application. And you'll see that our entire application works the way that we had originally designed it to. In fact, if you click around, you'll see that you have everything working, including all of our features. And let's check our sign-in. So here I'm going to sign in with an email that I know we've already created. I hit sign in, and there we go. Our user is also authenticated. Oh, it'll get all these different checks and balances if you're using Chrome browser, which will tell you whether or not you want to update or store your passwords. But either way, our website works. Our authentication works. Everything is built in. So there we go. Our website is live. But there's one last step we need to do. If you click on jackets or any other deeper nested route, if you hit refresh, notice that we get a page not found. Now don't worry, this is perfectly normal. We'll discuss why this is happening, and it'll be a really quick fix for us related to Netlify. And we'll do that in the next video. So see you there.